a national national production. The Fox company, the Fox network, produced the video, showed the video on national TV, not once but twice because of the response of the audience. I had difficulty watching that. I don't believe it was an autopsy. I believe it was a dissection. The film was very, very brief. At the tail end of the segment, and you can still rent the Alien Autopsy tape at one of your local video stores, at the tail end of the segment, there was wreckage shown, handled by what appeared to be a military or an Air Force individual, in which he showed not only debris and wreckage, but he showed several I-beams that had apparently hieroglyphic writing on them. I, as many other people, I think, other researchers who have worked with ancient languages, took a look at the hieroglyphs and thought they looked vaguely familiar. To make a long story short, we were presented with stills. We were actually able to see at one of the conferences the original film brought to us by Mr. Santilli. We were also shown footage which has never been released to the public. I suggest that this Alien Autopsy film is based on the truth. However, it is a deliberately hoaxed video in order to bring a black eye to the UFO community. I use as an analogy, for example, the Oliver Stone film JFK. None of the actors in the movie were present in Dallas in 1963. The film footage used for the movie was not what was used in 1963. If we use the same criteria used to judge the Santilli tape, then we have to suggest that the Oliver Stone film is a hoax. The characters are not the same ones. The film stock is not the same one. Some of the props used in the movie were not in use in 1963. By the same criteria, the Oliver Stone film is a hoax. However, the contents are real. The contents are true. I also will go out on a limb and suggest that the contents of the Santilli tape are true. They represent an actual autopsy. The hieroglyphs do, in fact, have some truth behind them. But the film itself is a hoax. The film has to be proven a falsehood in order that the UFO community and any and all researchers who have spoken on behalf of the film, that they be given a black eye, their reputation sullied. The media in general descended on the Santilli tape and branded it a hoax from the very beginning. I suggest that the contents are true. The Santilli tape itself is a fake. I have seen additional footage. This footage has never been revealed. I believe that in the second footage, we have evidence that is undeniable, that proves that the beings depicted in the autopsy are real. I say beings because there are at least 2 different autopsies that are shown. I find it a tragedy that Mr. Santilli, the producers of the video, have been so attacked, so abused, that they do not want to release the additional footage. I suggest that that was part of the plan. I honestly believe that if the additional footage was released, if the world's media would not descend on Mr. Santilli and the others, that we would have the evidence before us to show us that these beings were highly evolved and that there is truth to the story. Shortly after the release of the video, and after having received some data and slides from an individual in Germany, a good friend, we offered a decipherment of the glyphs at the tail end of the film. Again, I believe the tape is a hoax, but I believe the glyphs were simply copied from an existing I-beam. The decipherment of the hieroglyph is astonishing in its simplicity and what it says. Unfortunately, the hieroglyphs were incomplete, and we could only decipher a small portion. The interpretation, however, is consistent with some of the most ancient symbols and the most ancient glyphs in our own records. We released the Santilli decipherment only to be unmercilessly attacked. I am saddened that the UFO community as a whole is populated by a precious few individuals who are true researchers and a great number of individuals seeking fame, glory, the position of being adored, of being messiahs and gurus. I am disheartened by the UFO community as a whole, by the powers that be. I think the average individual who belongs to the different organizations truly seeks the truth, but they are being misled. I have resigned from the UFO circuit. I have resigned from the professional speaking circuit. I no longer make public appearances. I no longer will put myself in front of the public to be attacked not by the audiences, but by the conference producers, the planners, those individuals who are concerned only with how many dollars they put in their pocket. There are so precious few people that are out there who are seeking the truth, that if you are fortunate enough to find them, whether they are doing research in politics, religions, UFOs, extraterrestrials, whatever the case might be, challenge them and question them, because the true researcher will not be disturbed. If you can point out a flaw in their work, if you can point out an error, they will welcome it. If an individual reacts strongly to a criticism, to an attack of the work, then I can only suggest that they are not truly seeking the truth, but they are more concerned with their image. I believe that Chupacabras is real. It is a scapegoat. I believe that Yeti and Sasquatch are real, but they are scapegoats. I believe that the Santilli tape is real, but it has to be portrayed as a hoax. The Roswell incident is a relatively accurate depiction of events that occurred in the Southwest. I suggest that time be spent by UFO researchers who are looking for the truth, and I suggest that they go out into the desert. I suggest that they go to the primitives and the savages, and they begin to develop a relationship. The history of the relationship between the primitives of Native America and the civilized people of this country has not been very kind to Native Americans. I am not going to plead their case. But for those UFO researchers, those individuals who want to find out about the crashes and the disks and the visits of extraterrestrials, they're going to have to take the time to develop a relationship. They're going to have to win the trust. They're going to have to take the time to prove themselves. Because if they do, they're going to find a fascinating source of stories, not myths and not legends, but of actual events that have occurred in North America over the last few hundred years. I wish to stress once again that as disturbing as some of the conclusions are that we are trying to present to you and have been over the last few hours and last night, please do not accept anything that I say. Challenge and question at all of it. Go to as many sources as you can. I am not a spokesperson. I am not someone who demands credibility. I simply present this work. The concern that I have for our world is that when the true gods, when the powers that be, when the extraterrestrials responsible for our existence, responsible for our evolution, when they return in the next few years, we will not be prepared. We are going to look at them as the villains. We're going to accept an earthly power as a savior, as a messiah, and as a guru. I'm going to leave you with probably the scariest thought for most of the individuals in the audience. The oldest religion, after 30 years of research, the oldest religion appears to be based on a mother goddess. Those of you who are familiar with our work or who were here last night know that I have suggested that the single most powerful star system is the Orion system, populated by reptilian beings, and headed up by a queen. I suggest it is this queen who is going to return in the next 10 years, very likely less. And she is going to find out what we have done with this planet. I am not advocating the return to a mother goddess religion. I am advocating the return to a respectful position for an extraterrestrial power led by a queen. One of the travesties, one of the tragedies of the effort of Ra was not just the mind reprogramming, but the change that he made in the way that things functioned on our planet. In the earliest of societies, it was always the woman who headed up the family. It was always the woman who was the priestess. It was always the woman who had connection to the heavens.